Time is the most democratic resource on this planet. Every human being, no matter their background, education, or circumstances, is given the same 24 hours in a day. The question is not how much time you have, but how you use it. And that's where everything changes. Jack Ma, like every visionary leader and self-made success, didn't create miracles with extra hours in the day. He worked with what you and I have. He just decided to manage his 24 hours in alignment with his purpose, not his emotions. There's no magic in the minutes, the magic is in the mindset. Most people wake up reacting to life, letting time slip through their fingers like sand. They check their phone, consume distractions, complain, worry, hesitate, and wonder why their life doesn't change. The truth is, they're living on default, not on design. And if your days are lived by accident, your life will become an accident. Jack Ma understood that success isn't just about effort, it's about intentional effort, applied consistently in the right direction. He knew that time is like capital, and if you spend it foolishly, you go bankrupt in life. He didn't chase urgency, he chased value. That's what managing your 24 hours really means. Removing the noise, killing the distractions, and filling your day with activities that are in harmony with your vision, not your convenience. It's about eliminating the unnecessary so the necessary can breathe. When you start treating each hour like a building block of your legacy, you'll stop wasting it on things that don't serve you. That includes drama, excuses, gossip, endless scrolling, and conversations that lead nowhere. Most people live in a loop: wake up, survive the day, and repeat. But the ones who rise beyond average have structured days. Jack Ma didn't find time to build Alibaba. He made time by focusing only on what mattered. He split his day between critical decision making, strategic planning, empowering his team, and developing himself. He wasn't reacting to the world, he was shaping it. You must learn to take control of your hours before they are taken from you by distractions disguised as obligations. This starts the moment you wake up. The way you begin your day determines the quality of everything that follows. Most people lose the game in the first hour. They hit snooze, delay action, start with negativity or mindless content. And that one weak decision sets the tone for a weak day. Weak days create weak weeks, weak months, and eventually a weak life. Jack Ma's strength wasn't in avoiding struggle, it was in disciplining his time to outgrow it. He knew every hour lost in doubt was an hour stolen from his dream. He didn't wait for motivation. He created momentum through daily commitment. That's the real secret. You don't need motivation to manage your 24 hours, you need structure and standards. Most people are not suffering from a lack of talent. They are suffering from a lack of system. No vision can survive in chaos. You must begin to build your day with precision. Know when to plan, when to execute, when to think, and when to rest. Every segment of your day should serve a purpose. If you don't plan your day will plan you. And if your day plans you, you'll always be working on someone else's dream, not your own. Jack Ma once said that if you don't have a plan for your life, someone else will use you in theirs. That's the trap most people are in. They are working endlessly but not effectively, busy but not productive, active but not advancing. They confuse motion with progress. But managing your 24 hours like a leader requires you to get crystal clear. What is your highest priority right now? What tasks move the needle forward? What must be eliminated? What must be repeated? What habits must be enforced? These are the questions that change lives. These are the decisions that separate those who exist from those who excel. Time management is not about squeezing more in, it's about cutting more out. If you're overwhelmed, it means you're saying yes to too much. Jack Ma understood that simplicity breeds clarity, and clarity leads to power. You don't become powerful by doing more. You become powerful by doing what matters most every single day without compromise. You must stop trying to manage time like a calendar and start managing it like a currency. Protect your mornings, design your evenings, schedule deep work, guard your focus like it's gold because it is, and recognize this truth. Your future is not shaped by what you plan to do next year. It's shaped by how you manage today. When someone tells you no, it feels like a door slamming shut in your face. Most people take that as a signal to turn around, give up, or doubt themselves, but not Jack Ma. He heard no more times than most people hear hello. Rejected from every job he applied to. Turned down by KFC when 24 out of 25 applicants were hired. He was the only one not chosen. Denied admission to Harvard 10 times. Each no could have been a full stop. Each rejection could have been a reason to retreat. But he didn't just accept rejection, he used it. Every no became fuel. Every closed door pushed him toward building his own. And that is the defining trait of every person who refuses to let others write the ending of their story. Rejection is never the end, it's a redirection. A divine invitation to something greater if you're willing to see it that way. The problem is not the word no. The problem is the meaning we attach to it. Most people hear no and translate it as you're not good enough. But no doesn't mean you're not capable. It just means your current version isn't aligned with the opportunity yet. And that's the key word, yet. Jack Ma didn't internalize rejection as identity. He used it as feedback. Instead of asking why me, he asked what can I learn from this. That mindset is rare, because it takes strength to look rejection in the eye and choose growth instead of self-pity. It takes courage to stand back up after the world has pushed you down repeatedly, but that is the difference between those who live on purpose and those who live in fear. You must realize that no is a temporary condition, not a permanent reality. Every visionary, every trailblazer, every groundbreaker has faced the sting of being dismissed, underestimated, ignored. It's not because they weren't worthy, it's because they were too early for the world to recognize. Jack Ma was too early. His ideas were too bold, too different, too disruptive for conventional systems to understand. So he stopped seeking approval and started creating impact. And that's what happens when you stop letting rejection shape your identity. You begin to live from your vision, not your wounds. Rejection is resistance, and resistance, when used properly, builds resilience. Just like your muscles grow through resistance training, your mindset strengthens through opposition. Most people want the prize but fear the process. They want success but avoid the struggle, but there is no elevation without resistance. No triumph without tension. Jack Ma didn't just accept resistance, he welcomed it, because he knew that if you're not facing rejection, you're probably not aiming high enough. Rejection means you're out of your comfort zone. It means you're playing a bigger game, and that's exactly where transformation begins. You see, rejection doesn't block your path. It is the path. It's where the old version of you dies and the new version begins. Every no tests your patience, your belief, your inner strength. And if you choose to persevere, every no refines your character. The world is full of talented people who gave up too early. People who could have become great, but surrendered at the sound of rejection. What separates the extraordinary from the average is not talent, it's how they respond when the world says no. Jack Ma responded with persistence, with creativity, with vision. He didn't need validation, he needed purpose. And purpose doesn't wait for permission. You have to build the kind of mindset that feeds on rejection. A mindset that says, the more I hear no, the closer I am to yes. Every failed attempt is one step closer to mastery. Every denied opportunity is one lesson closer to a breakthrough. You must become so committed to your dream that rejection becomes background noise. Let people doubt you, let them ignore you, let them say you'll never make it. Because in the silence of rejection, your character is being carved, your voice is being shaped, your purpose is being forged in the fire of resistance. Jack Ma proved that you don't need to be chosen, you need to choose yourself. You need to show up when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when everyone's walking away. You need to keep building even when you feel invisible, because your vision sees something they don't. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth, it's a test of your will. Will you keep going when it's hard? Will you keep believing when no one else does? Will you keep creating even when the world says it's impossible? When you change your relationship with rejection, everything changes. It no longer becomes a threat to your identity. It becomes a tool for your evolution. And the moment you stop letting no define you is the moment you start becoming unshakable. Because when no longer stops you, nothing can. Not a sign that you're broken there, a signal that you're growing. But most people mistake emotions like fear, anxiety, doubt, sadness, or anger as weaknesses to be ashamed of or avoided. That's the mistake. You were never meant to run from your feelings, you were meant to learn how to control them, and that's where real power begins. Jack Ma didn't rise to greatness because he never felt discouraged. He felt it all: rejection, ridicule, public failure, stress, doubt. But what separated him was his ability to observe those emotions without becoming a slave to them. Emotional mastery is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding that feelings are feedback, not final outcomes. They're passing weather, not permanent truths. Most people allow their emotions to drive the car. They let their feelings dictate their focus, their actions, their worth. When fear shows up, they stop. When doubt enters, they shrink. When disappointment strikes, they withdraw. They live like puppets, controlled by momentary emotional swings. But emotions were never meant to lead. They're passengers. You are the driver. And when you truly understand that, you stop reacting to every emotional wave and start responding with intention. Jack Ma faced endless days where the pressure could have broken him, where the future looked uncertain. The team had doubts, the mission seemed too big, but he had trained himself to lead from principle, not feeling. Because success is not built on how you feel, it's built on what you do despite how you feel. Your emotions are data, not directives. Fear can teach you where your edge is. Doubt can point out where you lack preparation. Frustration can highlight where your expectations don't match your habits. But none of these emotions are reasons to quit. The problem is, people personalize their pain. Instead of seeing fear as a warning signal, they treat it as a verdict: I'm not good enough. Instead of understanding that sadness is natural, they treat it as a sentence: something is wrong with me. That inner dialogue becomes a trap, a mental cage where your emotions become your identity. But emotional mastery begins when you learn to separate your experience from your essence. You are not your emotion, you are the observer of it. You can feel anxious and still act with confidence. You can feel doubt and still move with courage. You can feel overwhelmed and still show up with clarity. That's the skill successful people cultivate. Jack Ma learned this through battle-tested experience. He was mocked, laughed at, criticized by the media, misunderstood by investors. At one point, even his employees didn't believe in his vision. But he never let those external judgments turn into internal poison. Because when you carry negative emotions for too long, they stop being feelings and start becoming beliefs. You start thinking you're not smart enough, not strong enough, not meant to lead. And once those thoughts settle into your identity, they drive everything. You don't just feel like a failure, you begin to live like one. That's why mastering your inner world is more important than any strategy or tool. If your mind isn't trained, your life will remain trapped. Your ability to handle emotional turbulence determines how high you can rise. Storms will come, you will be shaken. Life will throw uncertainty, loss, fear, and chaos your way. That's not a matter of if, but when. But emotional mastery isn't about avoiding the storm, it's about becoming the calm within it. Learning how to ground yourself when everything feels unstable. That comes from habits, from daily practices, from how you speak to yourself in quiet moments. Jack Ma didn't just rely on logic, he built emotional discipline. He understood that when emotions flare, logic fades, so he trained himself to pause, reflect, and respond rather than react. You can't control what the world throws at you, but you can control what you give your energy to. Negative emotions often come as messengers. They're not your enemies, they're trying to get your attention, but you have to learn how to listen without surrendering. When fear rises, ask, what is this teaching me? When doubt whispers, ask, what have I been avoiding? When frustration burns, ask, what standard have I failed to uphold? Every emotion can be decoded, every feeling can be channeled, but that requires maturity. Most people are emotionally reactive, not emotionally intelligent. They scream when triggered. They escape when afraid. They seek distractions instead of solutions. But you can't fix an emotional wound by ignoring it. You fix it by confronting it calmly, intentionally, powerfully. Jack Ma's strength wasn't that he never broke down. His strength was that he got back up again and again, with more clarity than before. He didn't escape negative emotions. He transformed them. You can do the same. But you must make the decision. Will you be mastered by your emotions, or will you become a master of them? Because until you win that war on the inside, nothing on the outside will ever truly change. Growth is not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to stretch you, challenge you, and force you to confront the very limits of who you think you are. But most people spend their entire lives chasing comfort. They seek routines that feel safe, habits that don't demand too much, and people who agree with them. They want to improve without changing, win without failing, and grow without discomfort. That's not how greatness works. Jack Ma didn't reach his level of success by doing what felt good. He got there by doing what was necessary, even when it was uncomfortable, uncertain, or unpopular. He knew that every breakthrough begins with a decision to leave comfort behind. Comfort is seductive. It whispers in your ear, telling you to relax, to play it safe, to wait for the right time. But the right time doesn't come. It's created through action. When you choose comfort over challenge, you delay your own evolution. And if you keep choosing ease, your potential remains locked inside you. You may feel safe, but you'll also feel stagnant. Jack Ma didn't build Alibaba by avoiding risk. He stepped into discomfort again and again, learning new skills, speaking on global stages when his English wasn't perfect, making decisions under pressure, failing publicly. He knew that if he waited to feel ready, he would never move. That's the trap most people fall into. They wait to feel prepared before they act. But growth doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from showing up even when you're not. What makes this more difficult is the world around you encourages comfort. We live in a culture that rewards convenience. Everything is fast, easy, instant, but success is none of those things. Success is slow, it's hard, it's earned. Jack Ma didn't get where he is because life handed him an opportunity. He created the opportunity by consistently choosing growth over ease. In the early days of Alibaba, they had no funding, no support, no infrastructure, only belief, and a relentless willingness to grow through pain. He didn't know all the answers, he made mistakes, he faced resistance, but he kept leaning into the fire because he understood something most people don't. Comfort kills ambition. Every time you avoid something difficult, you're building a habit of retreat. Every time you skip the hard conversation, procrastinate on the critical task, or run from responsibility, you reinforce the belief that you're not strong enough. But when you confront those moments, when you say yes to the uncomfortable task, you build strength. And strength compounds. The most successful people in the world are not the most talented. They are the most resilient. They have trained themselves to lean into discomfort because they know that's where growth happens. Jack Ma wasn't afraid to look foolish, to try and fail, to keep learning even when it was painful. He welcomed the challenge because he was obsessed with becoming better, not with looking good. Growth requires you to be honest with yourself, to look at your life and ask, where am I choosing comfort over commitment? Where am I staying small because it feels safe? Where am I avoiding the very thing that could change everything? Most people avoid these questions. They don't want the answer because it would force them to act. But the truth is, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. There is no neutral in life. You're either moving forward or falling behind. Jack Ma kept moving forward because he refused to let temporary pain stop permanent progress. People look at successful individuals and think they're lucky, but what they don't see is the discomfort behind the scenes. The 16-hour workdays, the rejection emails, the sleepless nights, the anxiety of risk, the self-doubt that creeps in when things fall apart. Jack Ma felt all of it, but he kept moving. He didn't wait for confidence. He built it through action. He didn't wait for clarity. He created it by showing up. That's what growth looks like. It's messy. It's painful, but it's worth it. You must become the kind of person who is more committed to your vision than your comfort. You have to train your mind to embrace the hard things, the early mornings, the deep work, the tough feedback, the failures, the sacrifices, because that is the path to transformation. Your future will not be shaped by how many times you played it safe. It will be defined by how many times you chose growth, even when it was hard, scary, or lonely. Jack Ma didn't succeed by being the smartest. He succeeded by being the one who kept growing, adapting, evolving, and facing discomfort with determination. Most people only grow when they're forced to. They wait for a crisis, a loss, a breakdown, but leaders grow by choice. They make discomfort their daily practice. They wake up and ask, what am I avoiding that I need to face today? And then they face it. That's the standard. That's how you separate yourself from the average. You choose growth over comfort every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because comfort might feel good in the moment, but only growth creates the life you were born to live. If you want to know where your life is going, look at how you're spending your day. Your calendar, your habits, your routines, they are the clearest mirror of your future. Jack Ma didn't build Alibaba by dreaming or waiting for the perfect moment. He built it by turning every day into a tool, every hour into a weapon, and every task into a stepping stone. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a day. But Jack Ma understood that success doesn't come from grand, dramatic action. It comes from how you own your 24 hours. Every day is a small version of your destiny. Every hour is a choice that either builds your future or buries it. Most people live on autopilot. They repeat the same motions, the same habits, the same thoughts, hoping for a different result. They wait for motivation, they wait for clarity, they wait for someone to push them. But those who manage their day like Jack Ma don't wait, they decide. They decide who they are becoming, and then they schedule their life to match that identity. Because it's not enough to want success, your daily actions must reflect it. Jack Ma's day was structured around growth, not comfort. Strategy, reflection, decision making, reading, teaching, leading, all were deliberately built into his hours. His life wasn't chaotic, it was intentional. That's the power of designing your day with vision. If you look at your day and can't find a place for learning, for creating, for building your future, then you are living reactively. Most people spend their days managing problems instead of mastering outcomes. They wake up late, scroll their phones, get stuck in low-value tasks, and by the time the day ends, they wonder why nothing has changed. The problem is not their ambition. The problem is their alignment. Their intentions don't match their schedule. Jack Ma wasn't just productive, he was purposeful. He knew where his time was going. He didn't allow his day to be hijacked by distractions or noise. He had priorities, and he executed them. You become what you repeat. If your days are spent in indecision, procrastination, and aimlessness, your life will reflect that. But if your days are filled with clear targets, high standards, and powerful routines, your results will catch up with your effort. Managing your 24 hours is about understanding that time is non-refundable. Once it's gone, it doesn't come back. That means every hour must be treated like a currency. You don't spend it on things that don't matter. You invest it in things that multiply your vision. Jack Ma's day wasn't just about getting things done, it was about doing the right things, the hard things, the things no one else wanted to do. Your day must have a rhythm, a structure, a strategy. You wake up with clarity. You act with discipline. You reflect with honesty. You rest with purpose. Too many people live chaotic lives because their days have no design. And when there's no design, there's no direction. You end up moving fast but going nowhere. That's why the most powerful transformation happens when you stop living each day as a random series of events and start turning your schedule into a statement of who you are. Jack Ma wasn't just building a company. He was building himself hour by hour through the way he used his time. Discipline is not about restriction, it's about liberation. When you control your day, you control your destiny. You no longer live based on emotion or mood. You live based on mission. Jack Ma didn't always feel like showing up, but he did. He didn't always have the answers, but he sought them. He didn't always win, but he kept moving forward. That kind of consistency only comes from one place: mastering your 24 hours. You can't win the year until you win the day. You can't build a legacy until you build a habit. And you can't become who you were born to be if you waste the time you've been given. People think change requires radical action, but the truth is, your future is already hiding in your routine. The way you speak to yourself in the morning, the way you prioritize your first task, the way you show up when no one's watching. These tiny decisions are the bricks of your future. Jack Ma didn't chase urgency, he chased impact. He planned his day not just to survive, but to create momentum. And momentum is everything. When your days gain rhythm, your confidence grows. Your identity shifts. You no longer wonder what's possible, you begin to prove it to yourself, 1 hour at a time. If your life feels out of control, it's not your circumstances, it's your calendar. Take your power back, decide what matters, block the time, say no to distractions, build sacred hours for deep work, reflection, growth, and execution. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. You don't need to do everything, you need to do what matters. And you need to do it every single day with focus, hunger, and non-negotiable standards. Because the life you want isn't hiding in the distance. It's buried in the hours you're wasting. Jack Ma didn't have more time. He just had more clarity about what to do with it.